All right. Hello, everybody. Um, as part of the ARPA project for the projects for the city, uh, all subrecipients or vendors are required to obviously submit their invoices in order to be reimbursed. And so we at the city were hoping to create a system that streamlines this process a little bit easier, quicker, and more efficient to make it better, especially for our vendors and subrecipients, so that they can go through this process a little bit quicker. And hopefully, the people on the city end can also approve things a little bit quicker so that things are paid out and reconciled more efficiently for both vendors as well as the city as well. And so you should be able to see my screen here. And so just to kind of get started here, this is a form that will be used by all subrecipients and vendors for the city that are doing any sort of ARPA project. And so we do have a document here actually that we've created that has general required items for invoices. So these are things that are pretty much universal to every project, but it won't include everything. So some projects may require additional items in order for it to be approved by the city. So this is just a starting point or a launching point for people to do this. Again, you can find this document here where it says, please refer to this document. You also will see it further down when, if you click uh, here, it should also click send you to that same place. But again, that's a starting point. Please talk to your departmental reviewer if you have any questions about what exactly you need to submit for your project and for the department that you speak to in the city. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that there are some size and file limitations that Smartsheet has. As a result, if you have a lot of files, for example, or very large files, for example, it may be better for you to put them into zip files, put a bunch of files into one zip file and zip it. If you're unsure on how to do that, we've also put those instructions here. If you're using a Windows, click on Windows. If you're using a Mac, use Mac, and you should be able to follow the instructions to zip many files into one file that can then be attached when for the departmental reviewer. So anyway, this form is very similar to almost any other form you may encounter on the internet. So you begin by putting your organization name. We're just going to do this is a test project, so we're going to put our test project here. The contact name, so this should be the name of the person who is responsible for this invoice, meaning if the city has any questions or needs to follow up about this invoice or about payment, this is the person in your organization that the city needs to talk to. So we might put George Costanza here from Seinfeld. And then we can put choose an email, right? So we'll put my email here, Sean Thomas. So this is again the email of the person that may need to be contacted in your organization. All right, and so the invoice number, whatever invoice number you may have, you can pick that number. The invoice amount. So this is the total invoice amount. Again, it could be of everything that you're submitting for this submission, the total amount that you're requesting the city to reimburse you or reconcile the amount if you've received in advance. So again, for the sake of just making things easy, $500,000. What month was the work done, or what month are these invoices, or is this invoice from, right? So just pick February 2024 and contract number. So here, this is the number of the contract that your organization has with the city for this particular project. Okay, so again, whatever number that is, you have to enter that here. The number of purchase orders that are being invoiced. So how many POs are being billed against the total invoice amount here, right? So please don't confuse this with the total PO you may have the city. Yes, you may have a huge contract amount of $2 million or $1 million with the city. That's fine, but we're just asking from this invoice amount that you put, $500,000 in our case, how much of that is being charged to each particular PO. So you may have 3 POs or 2 POs that are being invoiced in this larger invoice packet that you're submitting. So let's pick 2 here. So, PO number one, whatever number it is that you have in your system, how much of the invoice here. So again, how much of that invoice amount is being, of the total invoice amount again, right? How much of this total invoice amount of $500,000 is being charged to this PO for this submission? So let's pick $300,000. Then PO number two, random number again, whatever PO, not random number, but whatever PO number it is for you in your organization. And in this case, it would be $200,000. Right, so these two numbers are the total number or the total amount of all the POs, which is should be equal to the invoice amount, because the amount you're charging from the invoice to that PO, if you add all that up, it should be the same as the total amount that is being sent in this invoice, or being requested in this invoice. And so we can pick what department it may be. It's important that you pick the right department, because if your project will then show up depending on which department you choose. So make sure you're aware which department your project falls under. And so we're going to pick HRD. See, and so now because I picked HRD, all the projects that are under HRD show up. So if I pick a different department, demolition, all the projects for demolition show up. In this case, there's only one. And so we're going to pick HRD. So that's why it's important that we pick the right project, or the right department, excuse me, which will then populate all the projects under that department. So again, for our sake, we're going to just pick for internal use only. And then after this is where we then upload all the documents, or we upload all the necessary documentation for the invoice that we're submitting. So like we said, it could be multiple files. It could be, like we said, we could put everything into one zip file and attach it here, but you have to attach everything that your department requires for the approval of your invoice. Okay, so you click on Browse Files and then find those files on your computer. I'm just going to pick the logo of the City of Detroit to make things easy. And then you also, just so the departmental reviewer knows what did you attach, you would check those items. So let's say I attached the cover letter and I attached the general ledger, invoices, bank statements, and proofs of payment. Okay, and so that way the reviewer knows these are the things that you submitted and is able to again process things quicker, more efficiently. And if you would like a copy of this, submission that you're about to submit for your records, you would need to click on this box, send me a copy. If you don't want a copy, then you don't have to click this box. But I want a copy for my company's records, so I'm going to put that and put my email address, and that way it will send me basically a copy of everything that I just did. I press submit. Then you may ask a CAPTCHA thing to make sure that we're not a robot. Verify. Great. At this point, we will have the submission has been submitted, or your invoice has been submitted to your departmental reviewer in the City of Detroit. So from here, what happens is that the reviewer is going to get notified that you submitted an invoice. He or she is going to start reviewing that invoice, and then basically one of two things can happen. The first thing, which would be great in every situation, is that he or she goes through your entire invoice, goes through all your documentation, your numbers add up, everything makes sense, and they're like, this looks great. We're going to approve this invoice, which will then, push it down the pipeline, making it a step closer to getting that payment, that reimbursement check being cut. The other situation could be, and this is one of the things we were hoping to accomplish with this process, is basically, minimize a lot of back and forth, a lot of emails, but sometimes we forget things, sometimes what we submit isn't adequate, and so the departmental reviewer can determine, oh, this organization seemed to forgot this. And so if that's the case, he or she then can literally click a box on their end and just saying they need more documents, and then they will specify what documents need to be sent. And then you will receive an email saying, hey, we reviewed your invoice, we still need this documentation. And so I'll show you what that looks like right now.
Right. So me as the department reviewer has just reviewed the submission and said, okay, everything looks good except the cover letter is missing. I have clicked additional documents are required. The cover letter is missing. And so you as the vendor should get an email indicating the same.
Great. And so, so email you have. So in this case, so this is just so you know, this is what you may receive if you choose to receive a copy of what you submitted. So you just get an email saying, hey, this is what you submitted to the city. Here's all the things you submitted. But as Harsha just mentioned, you could receive an email for whatever reason you seem to be missing, something from your or something was inadequate in what you submitted, and so you will receive an email something with saying something like this, right? After the review of your recently submitted invoice number, we've determined that more information is required. Please see what is required and upload at your earliest convenience. If it's not provided within 3 business days, your invoice may be processed for less than the full amount. So in this case, so here and then here it'll have a list of all the things that you're missing. So in my case, I forgot to submit a cover letter. And so if I click on this link right here, open request, I should be able to click on it straight from my um, email, which then opens up this form, right? We're just saying, hey, we still need, the City of Detroit needs additional information for this invoice. And then you click on upload files. And then you can find the file that you're missing from your computer, attach it, right? So now I've attached whatever I was missing, and I can click submit update. And then my departmental reviewer will then be notified that uh, I have submitted the things that the city has requested of me. And so then they can, one or two things can happen again. Okay, you submit everything we needed, everything looks good, we're going to approve it, move it down the pipeline. Or they could say, oh, we still need this, or what you submitted was not what exactly we were looking for. And then they can, again, send you another email saying, please send this. It's important that another thing to keep in mind is that as you saw in the initial email, you will receive an email saying you have 3 business days to upload it. So if you do not upload it on the first day, you will receive an email every day for 3 business days saying or explaining that you need to upload what is required. So you have 2 days left. You have 1 day left. It is due today, and then if you still haven't submitted by the end of the 3 days, you will receive a final email saying you have now been you are now past due. Please upload your documents at the earliest convenience. If you do not upload it, we're only going to be able to process what you have submitted. And so that means that you may get reimbursed for less than what you requested, right? And then you would have to go through the process all over again, if depending again what the departmental reviewer requests of you. But from from the big picture, the idea of this is to make things easier for you as a subrecipient or vendor for the City of Detroit, as well as to make things more efficient on our end, hopefully creating a better user experience for both the vendors as well as the employees of the City of Detroit. Thank you so much. If you have any feedback, please do share it with us. Thank you again.